Okay, so I think I should start, or should I just wait for 1 more minute?
Just 1 minute, we will start. Okay, guys. Before starting the workshop, I want everyone will be interacted with the speaker because bug bounty is something that we did not learn by attending the workshop. We have to like make the session interactive and make so many of questions and demonstrations so that we can learn something good and better. So we will I want be the interactive session definitely from you and by the speakers definitely. So about the speakers, let me introduce the speakers first. The This is the live Student Tech is coming up with the 2-day live workshop on the bug bounty in the field of web app penetration to inform you, the aspirants, about the different ways in which we can secure an application in an ethical way. So I welcome to the Mr. Adirath Kapoor. He is a network security and a forensic expert. He is also an IT consultant, teaching assistant at Cybrary, and he is also an internet most cybersecurity. So the today will be lecture will be going on with the Adhirat sir, and tomorrow the lecture will be done by the Mr. Faizan Ahmed. Currently, he is an IBM security analyst and also a web application pen tester. He ranked among the top 2,500 pen tester at Bug Crowd Bounty globally. So I welcome to the Adirat sir and the Faizan as well for the workshop. And over to sir, to you, sir.
Okay, hey guys, I believe we should begin now. So, like I said, we hope to make it interactive. Okay, so bug bounty, a hobby and a lifestyle. So, before I just switch through the slides. I don't like the concept of death by PowerPoint. So, what do you guys think about bug bounties? Like anybody, you can write that in the chat, or we're just 16 participants here, right? So you can even unmute yourself and tell me what do you think about bug bounties. Where did you listen about? Where did you first hear about bug bounties? Yes. Anybody? No answer.
Hi sir, this is Raghavendra. I heard bug bounty. I read it in a newspaper.
Okay.
Some guy from Kerala identified a bug in the Facebook, and the Facebook given some prize money to that guy. Bug bounty means what I understood. I'm just saying. I'm not sure that is correct or not.
Yeah,
Bug
yeah,
bounty
that's
means who will identify the bugs in the web.
yep, definitely, definitely. So, uh, you're right. The big companies are going to reward you with a lot of money when you find bugs on their websites or on their web applications. That's somewhat, good definition of, or we can just say, if you want to explain the process to somebody else, you can say that finding vulnerabilities or even, application-based bugs inside websites or inside web applications. But the concept is not just limited to, or the process is not just limited to your websites and web applications. They are, they you can extend it to Android apps, uh, iOS apps. There are bug bounty programs for automotive hacking as well. Tesla runs a program like that. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Okay. Okay, so before we start talking about bug bounties, because bug bounty is somewhat a smaller part of this big umbrella term known as cybersecurity. Well, if you Google cybersecurity, there are going to be a lot of terms, right? There are going to be a lot
Sir,
of definitions. Yep.
sir, wait for a minute, sir. Actually, I'm from a non-technical background. According to me, bug is an insect. Other than that, I'm not familiar with it. Can you elaborate this little bit more?
Yeah. What were you talking about? I couldn't hear you properly. You
I
said you
want
were
you
from
to
a
elaborate it
non-technical.
more, sir. Like, what is
Yeah, yeah,
exactly bug
sure,
bounty?
sure, sure. Sure. See, the whole 2-day workshop is going to be about bug bounties. So uh, I won't be, just talking about definitions. We are going to give you a live demonstration as well. We are going to tell you step by step what is a bug, what really is a bug. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
One
So
more, sir.
yeah, anybody?
We are recording this session so that can you share means we can monitor the result the same.
Cannot hear you properly.
Sir,
Your voice is.
that he's asking the permission for recording session, sir.
I think Mohit is already recording this presentation, so don't worry about it. He's going to
Okay.
share it with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sir, you can.
So we are going to talk about Okay. So today I'm going to first talk about what is cybersecurity, and then we are going to transit, very smoothly into bug bounties. What is bug bounty? How do you find these bugs? What are these bugs? What is the severity of these bugs? Okay. So don't worry about it. Okay. So let me proceed. So my first question is, what is cybersecurity? So there are a lot of definitions that are there on the internet, and so we cannot just reference them all. So what I did, I just amalgamated all these definitions and clubbed it into a very smaller definition: the continuous process of protecting data and devices and networks. Am I right or am I wrong? If anybody wants, they can add their point as well on what is cybersecurity.
Right.
So yeah, any other additions that you would like to make here? Anybody? Anything else that you would like to add? What do you feel about this definition?
Yeah, it's perfect, sir.
Okay. So I think host has disabled participant screen sharing. My screen sharing is off now.
Sir, it's visual.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now it is. Okay. So before we, dive deep into cybersecurity, there is something that I would like to discuss first, and that is cyber hygiene. Okay. Still, it's relatively a very new term, and a lot of people don't know about it. So I would just like to ask, what is cyber hygiene? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me what is cyber hygiene? Okay, we've got somebody. Yeah, yeah,
Sir, that may be the protecting our privacy and protecting our data.
yeah. So if somebody asks you about cyber hygiene, it is very similar to the physical hygiene that you maintain. Well, would you just pick up any random needle lying on the road and just stick it into your arm? Would you or would you not? You wouldn't, right? So similarly, if you find a 16 GB pen drive lying on the road, would you just pick it up and put it in your computer? Do you really know about the repercussions it might have on your personal security? Yes, anybody? Okay, let me give you one more example. All of you, nobody really likes to pay for their music. You just, yeah, rubber ducky attack. Great. Rubber ducky attack. Similar to an attack that happened in Iran that was known as Stuxnet, if anybody has heard about it. So Stuxnet was a very famous attack that happened in an industrial facility of Iran that was maybe running some centrifuges, right? So what happened? An employee he or she, they just picked up a random USB lying around near their organizational place. They picked it up, put it in their organizational computer or their official computer, and somehow all the centrifuges stopped working, and it cost them around millions or billions of damage. So things like that constitute what is known as cyber hygiene. Okay, so like I said, everybody likes to download their music off the internet. You use either torrent sites or maybe some websites that are not really secure. Do you know what consequences that might put on your security? Yes, anybody? Fazan, would you like to add something here? Would you like to add your opinion on what is cyber hygiene? No one, no one really wants to talk about cyber hygiene. So cyber hygiene is actually, uh, very similar to your physical hygiene. If you are maintaining your hygiene, you are free from bacteria and viruses. Similar to your cyber hygiene. If you are maintaining cyber hygiene on the internet, you're not just going on insecure websites, downloading movies, or you know downloading movies and music and games off the internet. Well, you're trying to avoid viruses and malware from infecting your computer, right? Like Akash said here, using a good password, a strong one, yes, that also is a part of your cyber hygiene. So if you Google cyber hygiene, you're going to get a lot of definitions. That is why I wanted to ask from you guys, what is cyber hygiene? Okay, that is why all these points are left empty. A question mark, because it is a relatively new term and people don't really talk about it. They have antiviruses, or if you're on a Windows computer, you have your Windows Defender protecting you from viruses. But an antivirus is not the only solution here. When you're talking about security, you need to have defense in depth, right? So just one security solution is not going to prevent, because it's not just going to help you from being attacked or from being hacked. Okay, so let's talk about cybersecurity and its domains. So I've listed three domains here: red teaming, blue teaming, and purple teaming. Can anybody tell me about what these teams are, or are these just plain colors that I've written here? Yes. Can anybody tell me about these terms: red teaming, blue teaming, and purple teaming? No idea. Okay, red attack, blue defense, purple mix maybe. Okay. Yes. So whenever you're trying to implement your security solutions, if you create a blueprint and you actually want to test it out in the real world, you need to make sure that it is going to be one for all solution, right? So you have a team. You have a team of white hat hackers who actually. So we have a team of people who are trying to test that product. So if some of you are working in organizations, you might have heard of people who perform the job of testing softwares via debugging and uh, via other softwares, right? So that is why, similarly, in cybersecurity, you have a team of people who are trying to attack the security solutions created by you. Okay, and those people constitute the red team. Another team that you have here is a blue team that is trying to protect, that is trying that is working overtime to protect your security solutions, right? So that is going to be your blue team. The next team, that's the last one, that is known as a purple team. Okay, purple team is really a mixture of your red and blue team. And purple team, it's a new term that was invented for a group of people that are actually creating these strategies, mixed strategies, right? Like Akash said here, purple is going to be mixed. So who create policies and strategies that apply to both red teams and blue teams. Okay, so because it is going to be a 2-day workshop, so my first question is going to be how can we really prepare ourselves for this workshop? Okay, because this is going to be not just a bug bounty program, I mean a bug bounty program workshop. It is also regarding how you can, proceed further in the domain of cybersecurity and choose your own poison. Choose your own poison. Like if you want to be in malware analysis, you can be in malware analysis. You can be in cybersecurity policy writing. You can be a pen tester. You can be a reverse engineer, or you can even be a threat intelligence analyst, right? So today is going to be more about how we can explore these different domains of cybersecurity and how can we choose one that we are going to uh, be for the rest of our life, right? So we are going to choose one career. Okay, so this is more like a prerequisite for what we are going to cover tomorrow. Has anybody heard of these terms before? P1, P2, P3, P4? P1, P2, P3, P4. Has anybody heard of these terms? Yes, guys. Yeah, severity based, right? So you have P1 being the most severe vulnerability, P2 being somewhat less severe than your P1, P3 going to be a low level, and P4 is going to be a least level vulnerability. So what happens is when web applications and yes, Lavan, great, great. We're going to talk about OWASP as well. So when web applications or websites are created, what do most of the developers do? We've got around 1 million developers in India, right? And most of them don't even think about the concept of secure coding. Their main goal is to make their application or website functional, right? As soon as their website is functional, they make it go live, and then if anything happens in the end, they don't really take the blames on take the blame, right? They just say that maybe somebody hacked it. The team wasn't really good. The cybersecurity team wasn't really good. So that is why websites or web applications or that are being run by these organizations. What do these organizations do? They launch bug bounty programs in order to make their applications or websites secure. And people like us, people like you, aspirants, bug bounty aspirants who really want to be in this field, they give you rewards for hunting down bugs on their website. Okay, so this is what really happens. So P1 is a vulnerability that is going to be the most severe vulnerability of all. Maybe an SQL injection, maybe an LFI. If you're not uh, if you've not heard these terms before, don't worry. Uh, Fizan, who is a cybersecurity expert, well, he's mostly a web application penetration testing expert. He's going to showcase his skills. He's going to showcase his technical prowess tomorrow so that you get to learn about these P1 and P2 vulnerabilities from him. Okay, so that's what is going to be covered tomorrow. Okay, wait a sec. Okay. So what do you guys really think? You learn bug bounty, you take this bug bounty workshop today and tomorrow. What do you think? Would you be able to just hunt down bugs starting tomorrow? What do you guys think? Yes, anybody? No? Yeah, because it takes time. It takes a lot of practice. It takes, you know, a huge amount of practice. Okay. And that is why we first practice on these platforms. Okay. And then we proceed and hunt down bugs on maybe programs that are being run by the government, and then we can proceed to major platforms like Bugcrowd or HackerOne, right? So we've got these Portswigger labs run by a tool known as well. The Portswigger is mostly a company, and they have this tool known as Word Suite, and they have their labs as well, through which you can learn web application penetration testing. A great tool for bug bounties, for hunting down bugs. Then you have Medium write-ups. Has anybody heard of Medium before? What really is Medium? Can anybody tell me what is Medium? Have you guys gone through? Yeah, yeah, yes. That's like a blogging website. A lot of people who hunt down bugs and who practice capture the flags. CTF is it's like a game. It's like an exercise through which you can sharpen your hacking skills. So uh, people write about their experiences, about how they did it, and they post it on Medium. And this is a very great platform through which you can learn how to hunt down bugs, or to, if you want to learn about some vulnerabilities, how are these vulnerabilities found? If you found a CVE, how would you go about it? That is all written on Medium. Okay. Then WebGoat is another platform. You can just download a virtual machine and play with it. A lot of bugs are present on WebGoat. So if you want, you just you can run it via your virtual box or your VMware. The only tool you might really need is a burp suit, right? Nothing else is really required here. So all these OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, you can find them on WebGoat. Okay. And then my favorite, I don't know about Fazan, he likes Hack the Box more, but I like Try Hack Me because it is more beginner based. And a lot of people who have no idea on how to proceed further in the field of cybersecurity, Try Hack Me is an excellent platform for people to learn about it. Okay. And they've got two subscription models. Well, they're not our sponsors, and we did not take any money to talk about Try Hack Me, but uh, ever since I started my career in cybersecurity, I've been learning via Try Hack Me, because ever since I was a beginner, when I really had no idea on how to hack or how to perform malware analysis, I started learning via Try Hack Me, a great platform. Okay. And today's live demonstration is also going to be via Try Hack Me, so that when our workshop ends for day 1, you guys can at least practice bugs like that. Okay. And then tomorrow, you will be more prepared. And when Faizan is going to showcase his technical prowess, you'll be able to learn more, you'll be able to understand more. And we don't guarantee that you're going to get your first bounty on Monday, but at least you'll have an idea on how to go about it. And then there are various attack defense CTFs. There are conferences, there are free websites through which you can play these CTFs and learn more and more and more about uh, hacking. Okay. But like I said, hacking is going to be an umbrella term. You have to find your passion. Well, you can either be a VoIP hacker, you can either be a web application hacker, you can be a network hacker. So people who are thinking as beginners that they're going to be, they're going to be a complete hacker, a complete package. Well, that's a little difficult. Takes time. So CDF is capture the flag. Okay, capture the flag is like you boot a machine, you make your machine go live, you have your IP, which is you have a machine, you make it go live, you boot it, right? Boot means you switch it on, and then you reach it and you reach into its root. So that's a CTF, capture the flag. So there are two types of flags in a CTF. That is, one is going to be your user flag, and the second one is going to be a root flag. So uh, if you are a beginner, you should begin with Linux-based CTFs, because if you have some knowledge regarding Linux commands, then it won't be really difficult to get into the root of a Linux machine, right? Or a uh, Linux-based IP, right? Okay. So how can we promote this lifestyle? So one is going to be via regular workshops. Second is going to be through CTF tournaments. And then if you are playing a CTF, then just create your own walkthrough, okay, and post it on YouTube, so that other people can learn from you as well. So it becomes like a chain, right? So you learn something and then you impart your knowledge, and then somebody else is going to get inspired by you, and then they are going to create their own walkthrough, and suddenly a chain, that's like, uh, I won't say that it's a herd mentality, but then uh, it's how we can promote this lifestyle. Okay. So as I said in the beginning, we're not really going to have a lot of PPTs here. I really want to show something. Uh, I really want to do it live. So let's have together. Okay. Let me go here. So that is a room here. So this is, I hope my screen is visible to all. This is my pen testing OS. I am using VMware, and this is my Paratos. This is the pen testing OS through which I practice CTF skills, or I sharpen my hacking skills. Okay. And this is Try Hack Me, the platform that I was talking about. And this is my rank. I haven't played for a lot of time. So I used to be in top 1,000, but now because I didn't play for, at least 1 or 2 months, so now I'm back to 1725. Not bad, right? So all you need to do is create your account here. Okay. All you need to do is create your account here, and then just go ahead. You don't need to, just straight away begin with CDF based rooms. So there are rooms here. Okay. If you create an account on TryHackMe, you're going to learn more and more about what are rooms. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to deploy this room. Okay. And when I have to play a CTF, I'm going to get an IP address within this time frame. So the time frame being shown here is 1 minute. And in order to play CTFs on platforms like TryHackMe or Hack the Box, you need a VPN connection. Okay, not the VPN connection that you use on a day-to-day basis, but a VPN like this. Okay, so the VPN that I'm going to use is OpenVPN. This is via which I'm going to play my CTF. Okay, let me press Control C and let me. Okay, so whenever I get this notification, initialization sequence completed, it means that I'm connected to my OpenVPN. Okay. Let this IP become live, and then I'm going to start hacking. Okay, so I believe it's live and I've got a message here. Yes, which is better. So OpenVPN and Tor are two different things. OpenVPN is just going to secure, but Tor is a little slow. Okay, so that is why OpenVPN for such rooms is recommended. But then when you are using Tor is not going to be used for playing CTFs. Tor is more for becoming anonymous. Okay, right, Raghavendra, did I answer your question correctly? Did that solve your doubt? Okay, so I have this IP now, and the first thing that I do is that's the first phase of hacking, and the first phase of hacking is actually trying to find information about your target. So I have this target here, that is this IP. Okay, and I have this beautiful tool Nmap that is used for port scanning. Has anybody worked with Nmap before? Has anybody worked with Nmap before? Yes or no? It's a port scanner. No? Okay. Aaron, could you just throw some light on how you know about Nmap? Have you practiced before with Nmap? Okay. Okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So I'm just going to get the results. Just 10% remaining. Okay. So I have three ports here: FTP, SSH, and HTTP. HTTP, since HTTP is open, I believe it's a website here. Okay, so let's check out this website. So they have a website here running, right? And there are a few usernames, a web page with an image, because we are also learning about web application pen testing, which is, I would say a bigger cousin of bug bounties, because bug bounties is a subdomain of web application pen testing. So everything that we see on a website, we just need to, inspect. Okay, we need to look at it. We have to inspect it like an investigator. Okay, only then we are going to be a successful bug hunter. Okay, we've got some names here: Spike, Jet, Ed, Faye. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I have this web page here. Okay, and I have a few names, but why are we going to read this story, right? We don't need to do this. So the thing that I do always is I always view the page source so that I get to know how is this website created, what is the technology being used. So all I see here is an HTML page, HTML style, the style of this page, body, header. That's it. Doesn't really give me, anything interesting or intriguing, right? No worries. I have three ports open here. I have SSH and FTP as well. So let's check FTP, and I'm going to FTP into this IP address because this address is open. So I'm going to press enter. Uh, okay, it asked me for a username. It is asking me for a username. So what do you guys think? What should I use? Has anybody heard of OpenFP, FTP servers or anonymous FTP servers before? Yes or no? No. Okay, so you've got FTP servers, which are, let's say, which use authentication. Okay, so that you need to enter your username and your password. But then there are other FTP servers as well, which allow you to log in anonymously so that whatever you do is not really logged in this FTP server. So I'm just making a blind guess here. I'm just going to log in with an anonymous ID. Let's see if it lets me in. Yes, it let me in. And my login is successful. It didn't ask me for a password. So this is mostly an open FTP server. Okay. And then login is successful. What else am I getting here? So I got this Unix system. So it is telling me that the system that I FTP'd into is a Unix system, right? So I'm going to use basic Linux commands. Maybe press an ls. Okay. And after pressing ls means list the contents, right? Is that understood? ls is going to be a Linux based command and lists all the contents, right? When you are on a command line. Okay, when you're on a command line or when you're on the terminal. So what I'm going to do, I have these two files that are inside this IP, okay, inside the FTP server of that IP. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to download these. So download is not really a command that works here. A command that you use to download these files is going to be get. So I'm going to get the first file and then I'm going to get the second file. So that is get tasks.txt. Okay. And I got these files here now. So what else can I do now? Okay. Okay. So what can we do now? We have these files on our system. Let's check. Okay. I'm going to go inside my home folder. And here they are. I have this logs.txt file. Can anybody tell me what do they really look like? Does this look like a password or a username? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me, does this look like a username or a password? Passwords, right? Yeah. Sudan, this is not going to be a username because it's very difficult to enter, right? You cannot remember such kind of a username, and username is not going to be this big, right? So it seems like a password to me. We can check. And then we have this file task.txt, and it is telling me protect wishes, plan for red eye pickup on the moon, and it is written by somebody named Lynn, right? So what does that task say? I am on my room here, Bounty Hacker. So you found the open ports. Who wrote the task list? Can anybody tell me? Is because I wrote Lynn as an answer here, and if I browse this file now, if I browse this Lynn file, what do you think? If I browse this task file, protect wishes, plan for red eye pickup on the moon, does this look like it was written by Lynn? Because this is how we write our emails, right? In the end, when we use salutation, we are going to write our names, right? This is how we end our emails, right? So maybe this is written by Lynn. Okay. So now, since I found that this task list was written by Lynn, the next thing that I'm going to do is brute force. Okay, brute force is because SSH requires a username and a password. It is authentication based. Just give me 1 second. So what I'm going to do is now show you an attack that is known as brute forcing. It is done via a tool known as Hydra. Okay, let me name it. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to brute force Lynn. We are going to brute force. We found a username called Lynn, and then what we are trying to do is brute force its password. We are trying to find its password. That is something that you'll be doing a lot when you are on your bug bounty programs or when you are web application pen testing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write Hydra. We found a possible username that was Lin because this task list was written by Lin, right? So then I'm going to use a file. Let's say it is there. It's known as rocku.txt. That's a txt file that contains a lot of passwords, and it's a universal file that you can use whenever you want when you're trying to find somebody's password. Okay. Okay. Here it is. And what I'm brute forcing, which password am I trying to find? So this is 10.10.73.195. Let's see, what do we get here? So right now it is attacking the service. Let's just wait. It takes some time. Hydra is a tool that is, going to check for possible passwords.
Sir, I
Yeah,
have one doubt, sir.
yeah, tell me.
Sir, we have downloaded the password file from React Me.
Okay.
Why we are not using that file for brute force?
Oh yes. That is a mistake that is a mistake that I made. Right. So yeah, you're right. Why can't I use that file? Great. I'm going to do that. Thanks for highlighting that. Okay. Nice question. And the file was rock.txt. Let's see if it works now. That was a really nice question because if I had been using this rocku.txt file, it would have taken me, at least an hour. And finally, thanks for highlighting that. And with your help, we found this password. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. So this is what? This is Lens SSH password, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into Lens. Okay, 10.10.73.195. Okay, and I have his password now. And I'm finally inside his machine. And now somebody was asking me a question about CTF. So CTF, like I said, there is going to be a user flag and there is going to be a root flag. Okay, how do we fetch it? I'm just going to press ls. So let's see if I find something. Yes, I found this user flag, this user.txt. And on terminal, how do you print something? By writing cat before it. Okay, cat user.txt. And this is how you're going to get this flag. Okay, and okay, and then we found his user flag. Now what we are looking is we found the user password. This is what it is. Okay, we also found the user flag. Now the next thing is to find the root flag. So an easy way to do is to just go into root directory, right? Permission denied, right? What else can we do now? Can anybody tell me? I cannot go inside his root file. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Fazan. Privilege escalation. Aaron, this is going to be privilege escalation, and a very useful command that we use for privilege escalation. Yep, is going to be sudo minus L. I'm going to so sudo minus L command is going to tell you about the permissions that you have here as a basic user, what permissions are being granted to you by the root. So by abusing these privileges, we can hack into the root login. We can actually become the root. Okay, so it is telling me that I can enter something as the tar. So I'm going to go to GTFO bins. Yep, we can use sudo su as well, but we first need to abuse those privileges on it. So I have this tar, and this is like a cheat. Cheats like the ones you use on your video games, we have cheats while we hack as well. Okay, so I'm going to use this cheat now. My bad. Okay, I'm in right now. Let me exit. Control C. Still nothing. I have been granted a shell, but all I need to do is okay. I still cannot. Okay, I'll just do this process again. I think my connection is breaking. So what we can do is I'm just going to tell you guys how to abuse this privilege, and that is via sudo minus L. Because Fazan, my connection is breaking here, and because I told you I'm middle of nowhere taking this class. So if you could proceed this meeting further, because hey Fazan, can you listen to me? Can you hear me? Could you just unmute yourself, Fazan? I think you can.
Yeah, I can, I
Yeah,
can, I can hear you perfectly, sir.
yeah, because I told you my connection is breaking and it's getting dark here and as well as cold. So could you take the meeting further and let's for today leave them at a cliffhanger?
Yeah,
Could you?
fine, fine, fine.
Okay,
I'll be continuing from here, guys.
okay, I
I'll be continuing from here, guys. Just give me a minute.
yeah yeah okay. You can take the presentation further, and because I'll have to leave, so that okay, I believe you can complete this presentation without
Yeah,
any issues.
the room is over now. Actually, we just need to have some privilege escalation and then go to root directory for that case, and then you'll get the root flag for that. Fine. So now moving in the context of actually this course, that is the more into bug bounty. We were like for right now we were just testing our web application, yeah. But now we are moving focusing more into bug bounty stuff. So I request you guys please give me 1 minute so that I can just set up my environment. Fine. I'm just sharing my screen. Can you please confirm me, guys, that my screen is visible? Yeah, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. So, guys, moving in the context of actually the web application, fine. So basically, all of who are right now, studied in from me, and they might be knowing that what actually a web application is. I'll be not, exaggerating the definition right now. But can someone tell me that why do we need actually bug bounty hunters? I guess that sir had a good conversation with you. I pretty much missed the introduction part, and I'm sorry for that. Can someone please just throw a light on that stuff? Why is bug bounty and actually an important part to check security? Yeah, fine. To detect the bugs beforehand. Yeah, perfect, perfect, perfect. So yeah, the two answers were perfectly aligned. Yeah, that's right. For cyber hygiene, wow, that's a really nice definition. Um, that's actually a very good definition. So yeah, we need bug bounty hunters, for detecting bad coding practices. There are API abuses. There are actually. I'll be showing you a little example if I could just find. So this is my web server right here, and I guess I should be having the DVWA here. Okay, just give me a minute. So this is actually restarting my web server on my local host. Please allow us to unmute. Fine, who's saying this? Raghavendra. Okay, I'm actually the co-host, so I'll request the host to give you the permissions to unmute.
Yeah, guys, if you want to unmute yourself, you can have to like raise your hand. There's like a button there in your screen. You can like touch that button. I will like unmute you definitely.
Oh, sorry. Sure. So that's how you can unmute yourself. I was just directly using the Apache to restart. Fine, that should restart. And the database I'm using is MariaDB. It's actually MySQL flavor. MySQL is a query language used for databases. Fine. So I'll be actually this has been active. So I just you know needed to restart this stuff. This should work now. Fine. So, all web application pen testers, what they do is before, getting out in the market and testing out stuff, what we do is we try it out on our labs, we try it on our local hosts. And what is a local host actually? A local host is something, it's usually called a loopback ID. Fine. Why it's called so? Because the requests you make to this IP address specifically go only to your computer. Fine, they don't go out of your computer. And this has nothing to do with internet. Fine, since this is hosted on my current local host, if I am just cut off from internet, I'll still be able to access this thing. Fine, this is on my local host. And if I could just show you guys, see where this is actually done. So here is var, and this is actually in my wwe folder. Here is the dvwa. Fine, this is the any file that I'll be hosting here will be available on my local host server, and this can be further escalated to outside IP, but we would need a Python web server or a particular web server for that. So these are all the pages coded in PHP that are presently provided to us by dvwa. Fine. So today we won't be doing that much of a lab session, but to make you guys comfortable with the environment right now, I guess my screen is visible to all of you, so that you people really get confident about the environment. See, this thing isn't that much of a tough job. Like web application pen testing is very easy once you know that all the tools you have in hand. Fine. So as you may have heard about the vulnerability severeness. Fine, there are p4, p3, p2, p1. Fine. So this is actually a bug crowd variation. There are other platforms as well, like HackerOne. If I could just, so this is actually one of the platforms here. You can see this is bug crowd. Fine. Similarly, we have platforms like HackerOne. So this is actually here you could just contribute towards different programs. You could see there are already programs to Twilio, Atlassian is there, Motorola, Indeed, HP, Aruba. These all companies are running their bug bounty programs on these platforms. Fine. So there is researcher group where you could find what is really happening, what activities are really going in, what who just pushed in a P4, who pushed in a P1, and what were the bugs that were discovered. Fine, you could learn a lot from. I recommend that if you are really new to this, just go through that. Fine. So here you could see, I'll be just making you comfortable with the layout. Here you could see different programs. Fine, like there is Aruba Networks public program. See, bug bounty isn't only limited to web application. This is a very large field. There are web application, there are simple websites, there are simple web pages, and there are APIs. Fine. API, as I just put it, is an automated programming instance. Fine. We'll be learning what an API is and how we could just find bugs in it. Fine. So there are APIs, there are even hardware products. You can you just imagine that you have a bug bounty and people are telling you that, hey, just try out our hardware. Fine. So does anyone have a question? No. Fine. So I guess here you can see, just see this the all the targets they have mentioned in scope, they are hardware testing. Yeah, although there are some language like Perl used here, and network testing is also in scope, but there is hardware testing as well. And what we mean specifically by hardware isn't like you have to take their product and test its endurance. Fine. This is actually you have to test it on a local host, how it performs, how can you just malform your request, and that involves largely MITM or something called as ARP spoofing in switch or routers for that case. But I just want to tell you guys that every time you can't expect the target to be an IP address or really a website and telling you, hey, just run out scanners and stuff like that. No, see, bug bounty is very, very, very much diverse. And see the awards. Fine, at Aruba Networks, they are willing to pay. Okay, I guess that's a lot of amount. Fine, $5,000 is a very, very huge amount, especially in our currency. That would be multiplied by 70. Fine, so that would be a very huge amount. Similarly, this is one. Just closing this. So this is one more popular website. Although there are many much platforms, many frameworks available to us where we could participate in private as well as in public bug bounty programs, and I'll be showing you some cool ways out. Fine, but these two you should be at least aware of, because HackerOne and BugCrowd is something this is always in news and everyone has to know about this. Fine. So first you start and log in, then you set up your account, and then you get to know about the programs. Fine. They even have their one, I guess, their PDF available, so you could have a look at HackerOne's own PDF. So similarly, one more platform we have for bug bounty is Integrity. Okay, I'm not giving in my location, I'm sorry. Integrity, I guess, yeah. So here is the Integrity bug bounty for that case. Fine. So this is actually here it's mentioned that Europe, but this is not as such limited to Europe's internal network. Fine, you can just go and create an account and just participate in the bug bounties. Fine. So just we'll have a look at the public programs. Here are the public programs and they are paying in euros. Fine. So you can see the 5,000 euros, the 2,000 euros. And here is actually I clicked on the program, the TOEFs. So you can see the severity. Fine. Medium is will be giving you on a tier 2 URL. So what is a tier 2? They will have defining this thing. This is actually the UI is particularly different for every website. In integrity, you get like tier 2, tier 3, and you get the concept is same every in every platform. Fine, you get a website and you have to test it out. That's simple. But the UI, how they present it, and you have to always read what is in scope. Fine, and what really is out of scope. So you would be seeing a lot of things. Fine, here there are certain exploits or misconfigurations. Like here is cross origin resource policy misconfiguration, and cookie flags is something we will be actually I'll be showing you live what they are really. But there are self accesses, there is cookie security headers are missing in some site, there is CSRF. Find the cross site request forgery. There is presence of autocomplete attribute of web forms. Can anyone tell me just by name of this thing what does this imply? Anyone? Presence of autocomplete on web forms. See, this is very simple. Whatever you get in your mind, just tell me. This is as simple as it can really get. I hope I am audible to all of you guys. No idea. Fine. So actually, okay, no issues. Actually, what an autocomplete attribute will do, it will catch out your password. Like once you have logged in via a session, so we'll be learning in what a session is, what a cookie is for that case. But what it will be doing really is it will be learning your password, and next time you will be trying to log in inside the application, it will auto complete it. It will either fill it completely or it will just auto complete it whenever you type a bit of it. So why this is a security issue? Because see, there are environment differentiation. You could work in a company where someone could have an man in the middle attack type of scenario where someone could sniff over your networks. Fine. For that case, we just have to be extra cautious of our web application environments, and is it out of scope or in scope. See, why this would be out of scope for this program, because maybe they don't have like that environment, or this application is just fixed in a particular environment and there is no chance of an MITM or stuff like that. So they have just put it out of scope. So there are a lot of things really that could just how these are vulnerabilities. Fine, these all are vulnerabilities, but these are P4 or P5. Fine. So P5 is again an informational vulnerability and it doesn't pay you off anything. Fine. These are all informational for this application. So it's always a necessary thing that you read what is really in scope and what is really out of scope. Fine. So that's it for the scope definition. So the biggest question right now is how do we start? Yeah. So okay, fine. If I know that, hey, there is oppo.com. Fine. I know that they are running a bug bounty program, so we'll be live testing them. So the thing is, my internet is a bit slow. I'm sorry. So the thing is, how do we start? Where do we start from? Okay, this is the website. I know. Hey, this is a very nice website. Okay, I just got. I know that I was a bug. I'm a bug crowd participant, a researcher for that case. So how do I start from? Like you saw in a CTF, the so played CTF actually. So you saw them. They just used Nmap and they grabbed in the information. Fine. So, in context of a web application, how do you start from? Fine. Can anyone tell me? I know that Oppo is running a bug bounty program. Okay, fine. We have to now scan this target of ours. So please tell me that how can we actually start? Anyone? Am I audible, guys? So do you have any idea how actually we get started in bug bounties or something like that? Okay, okay, no issues. I guess that you had seen Sir's lecture and they told you that the first phase is reconnaissance. Yeah. Did they inform you about reconnaissance? Yeah, perfect, perfect. By collecting details. Yeah, that's it. That sums it up. Fine. So actually, what will we do? We can actually nmap or zenmap the target for that case. But while dealing with web applications, the story is really dynamic. Nmap actually what it does, it will tell you, it will list all the ports that are on the website, and there may be multiple ports, FTP, SSH, or there could be like HTTP on 80 port or HTTPS on 443, but there could be multiple ports open. But that is actually a very we have specific proxying tools, we have specific scanners we use for this scenario. See, there is a tool like nmap, it will be telling you, hey, this port is open. Fine. But there is another tool that would be telling you, hey, this port is open and you could exploit it in this way. So which tool would you be choosing? Just a simple question, guys. The other one, yeah, we see nmapping is just for reconnaissance. Nmap, you can use nmap in advanced scenarios for firewall bypassing, and that is actually out of context for this workshop. Fine. We can bypass web application firewall by nmap scripts, and that it requires some super user permissions. And for web application pen testing and bug bounty hunting, we have to stay always in legal hands. Fine. So yeah, the other one, fine. So there are there are web applications, fine. There are applications to scan our web applications. So I'll go into pen testing. So pen testing is like testing the stuff. There are certain tools that are specific to web application. Fine. See, this is the CMS and framework identification. There are web crawlers, there are web vulnerability scanners, there is comics, there is HTTP track, there is OWASP, there is Skipfish, and it tells you a description of what every tool does really. Fine. There is WIG, there is WP scan. Fine. This is something considering to WordPress. What I use most preferably, and why do I use it? Because it combines all of the functions of others. Fine. See, OWASP ZAP is something that will be combining CMS and framework identification. CMS stands for Content Management System. Fine. There is Joomla, there is WordPress, there are certain CMSs. Fine. This actually dedicates how your UI is for that case. There are vulnerability scanners out here, but these are Nikto is there, it's very famous. There is JSQL also. Fine. There are certain tools that are used in certain scenarios, but there is a tool that is used over all the scenarios, whether you have a WordPress site, you have a Joomla site, you have anything on your website. It doesn't matter to OWASP. I'll be talking of other scanners as well, but the inbuilt scanner here in Parrot, I'm using Parrot Security. Fine, it's a flavor of Linux. The security scanner we have here is OWASP Zap. Fine, I'll be just starting it. So this tells me essentially to enter my root password. Fine, because this requires some advanced privilege. So I'll be just starting it. I'll make you today comfortable with all the tools, guys. So from tomorrow, so like for the tomorrow we'll be doing some real pen testing, but today I'll be just making you comfortable with the tool. So this throws me some options. Do you want to persist this session? Persistence means that the next time I log into this OWASP Zap scanner, it will just start up from the same point where I left. So I don't want to persist my session for right now. So I'll be clicking no. Fine. So just start. There are certain things, automatic scan. There are fine. I just don't want to update this. There are things like automated scan and manual explore. So for this thing to understand, we actually have to learn about directories, subdirectories, and stuff like that. So what really happens is, guys, see, this is the website. Fine. This is actually the main page or the root page of this website. Fine. There are other pages as well that are embedded into this site, and as I click on smartphone, this may take me to somewhere else. As I click on accessories, you could see, like here, you could see in the bottom left, you could see that address is displayed. Fine. So here you could see the base address is oppo.com, and then is in. Fine. That stands for India, of course, but you could see that there is no directory currently. Fine. When I click on accessories, you could see that directory was added after in the accessories directory. Fine. As far as online store, no, nothing, because this may be embedded in this page only. That's why this is limited only up to this. Okay, let's just click on this. Let's see what really happens. So you could see the whole URL changed. Here we could see store.oppo.com/in. The store.oppo.com came in instead of oppo.com. Fine. So there was actually a base URL change, but I don't want you people to write bam your head currently on that. Just look into directories. If I click on learn more, there is something oppo.com/in/smartphone series A53, and similarly directories are actually subfolders. Fine. That are currently present inside the directory that we are currently. See, I'll be giving you a live example. Let's keep this aside. So this is web application scanner here. When I click on web application scanner, this gives me some folders, some directories, some files. Okay, so take this as a base website, and we have different stuff here. If I have to go into lib for that case, so I'll click on lib, and all the folders inside it will display. But you see here that that extension was added. Yeah, the WA scan, and after that the LIB was added folder. So this tells me that there is a subdirectory inside WA scan. So that's the same thing that goes on with web applications, to keep it simple. Fine. So how do we start our reconnaissance phase? Perfectly, I'll be telling you that how do I start actually. Now I know that there are vulnerabilities like URL redirects. So I'll be scanning this website. I'll just put my cursor over everything, and I'll look into, like, if there is a parameter called redirect inside the directory or the URL that it will redirect me. Fine, I'll be keeping this simple right now. So how do we just scan the website? I'll copy this address. Fine. I'll be going to Zap, and I'll be using automated scan for right now, because if I use manual, then it will throw me a list of directories and tell me that which directory I really want to explore. Fine. It tells me that manually explore your application, but I don't want to manually do it right now. I'll be doing it automated. So here's the full link. Fine. When I click on attack, so you could see a lot of stuff going out here, and there are directories, there are certain URLs that are moving. Fine. Just to give you an overview, are there any questions, guys? No. Just to give you an overview, you could see oppo.com/in/smartphone A52, smartphone A11, A12, stuff like that. Fine. So the directories are changing, but the base URL is same for right now. Fine. You could see in the alerts. So yeah, we got something. Yeah, we have found some errors. We have found some information disclosures. We have found some cache control misconfiguration. We have found some header misconfigurations. So what really are all these? Does anyone have like, any experience about what really is popping out as an alert on the left side? Anyone? Fine, I'll be just. Anyone, guys, can you tell me that what are these alerts really? Fine, no, sir. Okay, so yeah, there is a feedback form, and please just fill out the feedback form. So, what these errors are really, these may be a false positive as well. We have to test out every error. So, let's check in, let's deep dive. Fine. As this is an automatic scanner, I'll be dealing tomorrow with manual scanning and how we just, automatic scanning, what it does is actually it presents to us a lot of false positives. So with manual scanning, the false positives are gone, and we only get to know those alerts we are actually well aware about. Fine. So let's look into some of these error messages, right? So there is a timestamp disclosure, and the operating system is Unix, and where in what page it is actually. So here is GET and there is colon. Then we have the website address. So what is this GET? Can anyone tell me, guys? What does GET stand for? Perfect. Who said that? Yeah, Akshay Patel. So fine. That is actually a get method to fetch content from website. There are HTTP methods inside an HTTP header. We'll be discussing that thing tomorrow. There are some simple methods for right now. Just learn that get is a way we fetch content from the database or the from server. Fine. Just remember this thing. There are other parameters like post is there. There are options. There is delete. Fine. I'll be talking of all the parameters tomorrow, but just learn for right now that get is something used in fetching the content. Fine. So now let's check out what really is happening. I'll be clicking on any of the error message. See, these are all aligned under the timestamp disclosure. Fine. Just click on any of the website. Fine. So you could see where the alert was. Fine. So this is the actually the HTTP request here. Right now, if I will be going into this detail, this is actually a lot of detail, but I won't be going into this. Just for right now, just ignore this part. We'll be cutting this tomorrow because I'll deal with the alerts. Fine. See, here is something that has been highlighted. So this essentially tells us that hey, the scanner found out the error at this part. Fine. If I could just, yeah, so this is actually the whole HTML script or anything that the web page returned to us on the front end. Fine. So you can see here a doc type declaration is HTML. So this is the front end stuff we got in from, and the what kind of server you're using, this timestamp can help me. How it could help me? Can anyone tell me, guys? How a timestamp could help me getting serious information about the server? No one? Okay, fine. So see, when you know the age of a server, like how old is this guy, or just talking it in general sense, when I come to know that this guy is 20-year-old, so I could have a profile that at that time what would have been the technologies in scope, what was the trend that time. Fine. Then at that simultaneously, I could develop a profile that hey, in 90s this server was the topmost ranked, and maybe this company had been using this server. Fine. So this would be essentially used in profiling. So you could see here other info. This is actually a false positive, and I'm telling you because I know why it is actually a false positive, because this is a variable here, part D, and this can't disclose the timestamp, and there are certain timestamps like this. Fine. You could see here are different notations, and again, fine. So this is a false positive. Fine. Because the automatic scanner, what it does actually, it scans for anything that it has been guided through, and there are actually lot errors. Fine. So we have to be careful. And if I report this stuff like without interpreting, see timestamp disclosure isn't considered as a vulnerability. You could see the risk is informational. Fine. So this isn't considered as a vulnerability, but let's try out something new. Fine, let's try out. Uh, I won't be touching in cross-domain misconfiguration because this will be dealing in tomorrow. Let's try in HTTP flag. Fine. So, okay, what is an HTTP only flag? Fine. Before that, can anyone tell me that what is really a cookie? Yeah, perfect, Raghavendra, perfect. What is a cookie? Perfect, Akshay, perfect. Yeah, text file stored in client PC. Yeah, actually, this is a text file, but it contains all the interactive. Yeah, yeah, it stores info. It contains all the information that was set up by the server. Fine, your session ID can be as a cookie. Your NDCRF, CSRF can be a part of cookie. Fine, we'll be learning different types of cookies tomorrow because we have to deal with them. But just remember that it is a small text file. Fine. And it contains, yeah, the session start time is actually, this is the session cookie. Fine. There are types of cookies. The session cookie is used to store your session ID, and if someone gets to know your session cookie, he will take control over all of your session. Fine. And this is a P4 vulnerability if you don't have any HTTP only flag. Fine. Yeah, perfect, guys, perfect answers. So the error I got is cookie no HTTP only flag. Fine. So let's see what which cookie we have here. We have the XCRF token. So what is actually an XCRF token? We also have a cookie called OPO. Fine. But this is HTTP only. You could see here, this is a flag for the cookie. Uh, because see why you have to keep HTTP only. See, it could be accessed by some third person, like we could see here in the description that this cookie can be fetched by someone else if he gets to run a JavaScript on your browser. Now that's a question, how he could be using JavaScript on my browser. See, if you are logged into your bank application, if a malicious script can be run on that page, fine, this is just theory. But let's talk real thing. See, if I'm logged into my web application or my bank application for that case, and I'm just browsing my balance and my stuff out there, and my friend out of nowhere sends me a link. Hey, there's a sale. Can I go? Can you just check out? This is perfect sale. And he knows that you have an HDFC bank, and to lure you, he'll be telling you that the HDFC customers would get more discount. And what you will be doing as a common person, you will leave your bank account there and you'll directly click on the link. Fine. But what you have really committed very wrong thing is actually, when I was just interacting with a web application. Yeah, we'll be just wrapping in around, there's 34, we'll be wrapping in up to 45. Fine. So what we really do, fine, I'll be telling you, suppose this is an application. Yeah, Google is a web application, and I type in something like in here. Fine, I am interacting with this application. So when I click on another link that will redirect me to some other application, what really we have in our HTTP headers is a header called referrer. There are also a lot of information in an HTTP header. You have a lot of information about where from the website, where from the website got the response, and where from the user came. So there is a referrer header. Fine. If this was my malicious website and your session ID or your sensitive data was logged in the URL, I'll be getting the URL. Fine, because this website here, suppose I'll be typing in yahoo.in. This website, when it logs out data, it will be logging out, hey, what was the last location where from the user came in. Fine. So if my URL contained my session ID, and this is actually a P4 vulnerability, your URL consists of your session ID, it's a vulnerability and it is really exploitable. Then there are certain different attack vectors also. There is session fixation, but if someone gets that information, he'll be taking control over all of my session, and we don't want that thing to happen, right? So we have to always be careful about things whenever we are interacting with our web application. Fine. So what a CSRF token actually is, you put it like XSSRF or CSRF, it's one and the same thing. There may be some minute differences, but I don't want to highlight them right now, that are environment specific. Yeah. So what a XSS, XSRF token does really is it prevents CSRF. So what a CSRF is actually, I'll not go in detail. It prevents that your requests aren't forged. We'll be discussing that tomorrow. But the HTTP only flag wasn't set up on this. Fine. If I sent you a link that could execute manual JavaScript on your browser, although I have to craft that, fine, I have to craft that link, and I have to make it run JavaScript on your browser. But if I could do that, I would get this cookie, this all stuff. Since this isn't an important cookie, so they haven't set up the HTTP only flag. But this is the session cookie here, which I could say by security and by the name. Maybe this may not, but I'm just telling you by security because this is HTTP only. There is also another flag called secure flag, so that your cookie isn't contributed over HTTP only. But that isn't set up because I know that there is port 80 is closed on oppo.com, so they haven't set up secure flag, and that's not a vulnerability right now in scope. Similarly, there are cross-domain JavaScript source file inclusion, which essentially tells us that some JavaScript file is loaded into the browser from third-party source. So we have to manually introspect this and see from where it is getting loaded. Fine. You could see here is the source code.oppo.com. So this is the internal IP of oppo.com, and this is very difficult to break. If it would have been some random IP, then we could have a subdomain takeover, and we'll be dealing with that too tomorrow. I know tomorrow we have to do a lot of stuff. So this is actually how we get small amount of reconnaissance about our web application. There is no cache control, so that the browser will catch everything, uh, cache actually, to be very honest, so that the browser doesn't catch in everything and hey, this is your cache and this can be used like next time we exploit it. Fine. There is information disclosure, so this could be a vulnerability. Fine. But I won't be going in detail right now, because this would be requiring you to understand why is this a vulnerability. Fine. First of all, we have to discuss that, and why debug error messages are a vulnerability, because they could disclose something really sensitive. Fine. And this could be a false positive. Let's have a look. Maybe we find a vulnerability and we just report it. Fine. So where was the disclosure? Fine. So this is actually a very large response body, and I'm not loading it right now. But the other info tells me here, we could see there is some type of function that is it is actually going to return me. But from this, what I can really understand is this is the code that is meant to be public. See, this is nothing like there is nothing like very much secret, to be honest. This is the code that was meant for the front end. Fine, this takes a string, this loads a url and splits it, and this communicates with the oppo user agent. There could be some functionalities there, so we have to manually introspect everything. Fine. See, automatic scanners can tell us a very lot of information. Fine. And I really tell you that go and test out OWASP, BLAP, go test out Vega. Now let me show you Vega. Just showing you right now. I won't be going in detail. Fine. This is my favorite scanner, and it really provides a lot of false positives. But just showing you. Fine. So this is the last time I scanned it. I scanned on a target. Fine. You could see here the scan alert summary and all the different types of alerts found. See, this is another type of vulnerability, local file system parts. So this tells you a lot things about the server. Local means on the server. This is on my computer right now because I'm talking in the context of my scope, and my scope is my target. That is the viator.com or anything that I had scanned previously. Yeah, that's the viator.com. So I had disclosed some local file paths, but I can tell you that these two were false positives. Why? Because I got into this, and you could see the resource content was media, and that isn't a local file path. And this may be, but this hasn't any serious repercussions or no side effects, and the company really cares about its side effects. These two scanners are really my favorite because they really provide you a lot of information. But there is something called as burp that is actually the master of all, and for that we'll be going in tomorrow. We won't be going into detail right now for that. Just remember that burp suit is actually the above everything, and I use it like 100 times a day. Fine. Every time I have to test out any application, I go in burp. And how do I do that? I actually don't have burp right now installed. I have, I guess, some sort of, yeah. Now let me just, okay, not getting it in my history. I'll be just, so this is actually a pirated version of burp, to be very honest. Right now I'm using because I have some dependency issues. Actually, I have a very my firmware is actually Asus type. So I had to manually install all the dependencies. I had to change my Java version. And this is actually the 2.107. And right now we have the most updated version of Burp that isn't really comfortable with my setup. So right now, to just start in, let's just start it. I am not able to copy that thing. I'll be just giving you an overview of Burp, guys. I won't be going in detail. Sorry for taking a lot of time of yours. Uh, so I'm just copying this. This is the manual license activator for Burp. So sudo is the permission, yeah. Super user do. I guess you might be knowing this thing. Oh shit! Actually, I'm not able to paste this thing here. I don't know why. Maybe. Okay, just starting in once again. I haven't copied it actually. I'm really sorry. For some reasons, I'm not able to paste this. Okay, let's just do one thing. Let's just type it out. Fine. Just closing this. I just want to make you comfortable with burp because this is what we will be using tomorrow actually. Um, I again need to open the Pluma here. So Pluma is actually the the text viewer for any flavor of Linux. This may be available. I don't know for everyone whether it's available or not, but for Parrot, this is a very UI friendly editor. Fine. So let's just guys type in really fast. Sudo. We have Java. Fine. That should actually fire it up. I'm really sorry about the time it took. Actually, now let's understand the UI very fast. Fine. Uh, if there are questions, no, perfect. So let's just start it up. Fine. There are three options: temporary, new project, and open existing. This is my previous project out here that's saved in my desktop. So fine. Right now I'll be going in temporary. So let's get started. And here is the configuration actually. If I have to enable some extensions, if I have some hack bars or something like manual extensions that I would like to add, I could load them from a configuration file, or I could just use burp defaults. I'll be using burp defaults for right now. So this is the pretty UI of burp suite, and this is actually when you are a bug bounty hunter, burp suite is something you must, this is actually love for bug bounty hunters, and this is actually the whole world in bug bounty hunting, because what it really does is it traces out every communication that you make with the server. And I'll be talking about the functionality of all these in detail tomorrow, but for right now let's understand what they really do. The dashboard is actually what it really tells us. It is dashboard. Fine. The target is used to define our scope and what really our target is. Fine. You could see the sitemap here that would present us all the directories, all the subdirectories that are present. Similarly, we have the scope to define what is the in scope of our web application testing. And then we have the issue definitions. Like you could see the all the vulnerabilities are discussed here. Fine. So everything is here is mentioned actually, and you could see all the details are available. If you want to really read about these vulnerabilities, we'll be discussing them tomorrow, uh, one by one. Not we can't discuss actually the whole all of them in one session, but we'll be trying to cover all of them. OS command injection is something we'll be demonstrating tomorrow. But for right now, let's look on all the functionalities. Fine. So proxy is used to proxy something, and when we talk of proxy is like a VPN server that is actually connecting yourself to something that you are dedicated to, and we proxy burp suit as a local host proxy. Fine. So in simple terms, what it does is actually all the requests it turns we send to the web application that are directed through the browser are going to pass through the local host. Fine. So proxy is something used to redirect the traffic that is going to web server, and burp suite tells it that, hey, you don't have to go directly to the web browser, you have to come through me. Fine. Here is the HTTP history, that what where the what all the stuff that happened during the communication will be present here. The web sockets history, actually it tells us everything on which port did we make connection, if there are shared DNS, if there is a shared IP, if there are web sockets are related in context of shared DNS, and we'll be discussing that soon. So then there are options. You really want to set this because you want to listen on your local host, and we have to, this is the bind interface here. 127.0.0 is the local host IP, and we have to direct our browser in. How we do that is we go to preferences. Fine. The time is actually running very fast, and I'll be winding up soon. So we go here and we tell the browser to use the manual proxy configuration, and this is the manual proxy. Fine. Now here I have just activated it, and now any request that I will make through this browser will go through Burp Suite essentially. And let's test it out. Yeah. Let's go to google.com. You could see something here flashed up and nothing is happening here. Fine. See, google.com isn't loading up because it was intercepted. I have put on the intercept and the request was intercepted. Fine. This is the host we are trying to contact, and this is the user agent. It contains details about my environment. This is what really it accepts, and we will be going in detail of all this thing tomorrow, because I'm told that the time is really out of bounds and we have to really terminate this session. But tomorrow we'll be dealing with burp suite in detail, and let's talk of other functionalities. Let's put off the intercept, and you could see Google was loaded because I turned off the intercept. I could just forward this request or drop. That we'll be discussing tomorrow again. Intruder is used to actually intrude and brute force, and we'll be using it tomorrow in our session. The repeater, as it says, it's used to repeat the request. The sequencer is used to sequentialize the request if you want that this request should go after this. So you will be using the sequencer, right? The decoder is used to encode or decode the text that are, or in URL parameters that are present within the request or anywhere else. The comparer is used to compare two requests or more than two. The extender. Fine. This is actually what I really use, but for right now we'll be going what really extensions help you if you want to add more functionality to your burp suite. Fine. So you could see I have added some extensions here, and we'll be talking in about this thing tomorrow. Then there are project options. If you want the host name to be resolved, if you want to set up timeouts, these are applicable actually when you have to deal with high end firewalls, and we'll be talking of this too tomorrow. Then there are user options. Fine. If there is some sort of authentication in there, if you want your stream to be done through upstream proxy servers, or if you want to redirect the traffic to somewhere else, you could use socks. So socks is something you to use to like anonymize you. For right now, just keep it simple. We could use tor initially inside the burp suite. We don't have to go in here and tell the browser to just. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yeah, it's visual.
Fine. Thank you. Actually, I'm not. Yeah, fine. I'm not getting the US Zoom is sharing your screen. That's why I really asked. Fine. So I don't want to redirect the system. Hey, we could use anon surf and tell that, hey, you just want to proxy me. See, proxying is something very important because you don't want to mess up with the server. Fine. And you sometimes what Cloudflare is actually a DDoS protection. What it does is when it sees something abnormal, it really bans out your IP. So it's really bad to get in the blacklist of Cloudflare because it's used by most of service providers right now. So authorize here is something that I have edited, and this is used to compare the cookies right now, just keeping it simple. This tab you won't be getting in normal burp. So that's it about burp in a quick overview. We'll be dealing with it tomorrow in a very chilled manner. Don't worry. I know this is actually very fast, but tomorrow we'll be dealing it really, really slow. And I'll be telling you how we can search, what is the configuration library, what is infiltrator, what is collaborator, what's click bandit. We'll be doing it tomorrow. And I guess that's it about burp overall. Fine. So, guys, if you have any questions right now, you could just really ask me. If I'm sharing my screen, I don't know. Is my screen visible, guys? Yeah, it's actually here.
Yeah, it's
Fine.
visible.
Fine. So,
It's
guys,
good.
if you have any questions like right now, please ask.
Guys, for the today session, you have any questions you can ask in the chat section. We are waiting for the next 5 minutes, and please fill the feedback form for the certification as well. And um, to something like if you want some changes in the workshop or some like you want to some elaboration or something else, you can share in the feedback form so that we can send it to the speaker and they can enhance their in their their session tomorrow definitely. So I hope you will get the overview of the cyber security thing and the bug bounty as well. And tomorrow there is a like lot of things are going to cover definitely. So guys, you are open for the I am like unmuting to all so that if you have any question you can unmute yourself and ask to the speaker directly. You can unmute yourself right now. So I am giving you the next 2 minutes. After that we can wrap up the session. Guys, please.
Hello, hi sir. This is Raghavendra. I have a small query. Hello.
Your voice is little bit low. Can you please uh, close the mic?
No, no,
Yeah,
no. It's okay, sir.
now it's okay. Fizan,
Sir,
there is question for you.
sir.
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm listening. I'm listening. Go on.
sir, tried a brute force, right, sir, in starting. If we, for example, we use the same method to crack any password, some sites have limited for entries, right? That time
Yeah,
it or not work, sir.
yeah, I got the question. So this is the vulnerability actually we'll be discussing tomorrow in lab. Fine, but the question is really nice. See, brute force was used to be a concept like in previous years. Fine, but from 2017, 18, what really web applications did, they had a front end firewall. Fine. So if you would be sending in 1,000 requests or a lot of requests per second, the web application firewall detected, hey, something is wrong, and your IP got banned. Although there are certain ways you could bypass that filter, and we'll be discussing about that tomorrow because we have to use the burp intruder tomorrow. See, Hydra is something you could use, particularly. See, you could set up time limits with Hydra, you could set up things with Hydra, but in what a burp intruder will help us, there are different types of attacks like pitchfork is there is cluster bombing, there is sniper. So we'll be discussing about them tomorrow. And burp suite can help us essentially in bypassing the web application no late limit by like the limit. Fine. If there is a limit set up by the firewall, hey, there should be 10 requests per minute, and after that I'll be banning you. We could instruct our burp suite to, hey, this application firewall is active and it is really checking in whether you're sending more than 10 requests. So burp won't be sending more than 10 requests, but the brute force would be really continuing after 10 seconds. So 1 second there would be one request, and as per we configure it, there is a request limit, there is time limit in the intruder. Fine. although there are other tools as well. See, we often have a notion that Instagram has a rate limit. Yeah. See, if you would be brute forcing Instagram with Hydra, simple Hydra, you won't be successful. Fine. But there is a script called Instax. Fine. Just Google it around, or if I just have it, I guess. No, I actually don't have it currently, but what it really does is it changes your IP per second. So what really happens is one request goes from one IP, the second goes from second IP, and the third goes from third IP. So this is proxying you simultaneously, and your requests are also being chained and also proxied, and also the firewall would be receiving requests from different IPs. So that firewall would really be getting confused. Yeah, it won't be there won't be any chance of banning you because firewall identifies you on the basis of IP address. I hope that I could answer your question to some extent. We'll be doing a lab demo tomorrow, and that will make you more clear about the concepts. You could again ask me the question if my answer didn't fit in perfectly. You could just really ask.
No, sir, I got the point. And sir, one more thing. By using tar, I think it will show our IP 3 times, right? It will change our IP only 3 times.
See. I will be suggesting you right now. Don't jump into the concept of Tor. See, when we talk of Tor, there is Tor nodes. And Tor nodes on the Tor project, by default there are three nodes. Your traffic will be routed through three different IPs. But essentially, what newbies or what YouTube platforms or wherever you get wherever a newbie gets knowledge from, he doesn't know that you could set up Tor more nodes into your Tor relay. Fine for that case. So this is not the case that only three relays can be added in between. Only three hosts can be added between. You can increase the number of hosts that you want your traffic to go through, but that will slow down your speed. If you want more anonymity, you could just have seven hosts to the maximum. You could tell, hey, my traffic should redirect through seven different countries and then reach this part of the world. So that's actually that's more focused about privacy, and we have a different course for that. That isn't really considered about web application pen testing. But for right now, remember that the Tor nodes are limited only up to three. There could be more. There are Tor bridges, there are Tor relays, there are Tor gateways even. In some countries, Tor is banned, like Iraq. I don't know really the country name, but I have heard it. So there are countries where Tor is banned, and what they do is they use Tor bridge to connect to Tor. Fine. So Tor project is actually a project maintained by individuals. And for right now, just don't focus on that, because if you did some wrong stuff out there, then you will actually lose your privacy and you will be doing something very wrong with yourself. I hope you could get some, your confusion was over from that. Anyone
Yes, sir.
else has question? So this is actually the damn vulnerable web application we'll be practicing in tomorrow.
Okay, guys.
Till then,
We will.
guys,
Yeah, Fazan.
please ask me some questions if you have.
Yeah, Fazan. You can. Okay, guys. So if you have like any question, you can like check it out, and we will definitely meet tomorrow at 5 p.m. There's like a last day of the workshop, so we will like announce so many things of tomorrow definitely. So the link will be same for the workshop. I will like forward the mail to you by tomorrow 12 p.m. definitely. So let's meet tomorrow, and if you have any question, you can ask still. Otherwise, you can leave now. Thank you so much, guys,
There's a
for
comment.
joining.
Yeah, someone commented. It's Praveen. Yeah, Praveen, you have commented. Proxy works slower. I would like to add on that note that it all depends on proxy host and the type of proxy server you're using. See, if you would be using a publicly available SOCKS 5 proxy, it will be slower. But if you will be using a paid server, and that is fully available on Amazon, then it will be much faster.
Fizan, are you asking something?